evening, race fans, and welcome out to Speed Racing Network, where we present the Speed Racing Network Cup Series. And we're here in the playoff week number 1. This is the round of 15. 15 drivers made it this far, and 15 drivers will compete tonight to determine who's getting a little bit closer to that championship glory. My name is Sean Griffith. I am here with Greg Olenek. Greg, how's it going tonight, buddy?
Oh, Sean, I'm a little bit tired, but I'm very excited to see these drivers get out there and do their best at Talladega in this first race in the playoffs. There's going to be a lot of heated moments, to say the least, probably when we get that big one inevitably due to happen tonight. But hopefully, everyone in the playoffs able to get around it and able to continue their surge onto the next round.
Well, if you're tired, you can either get some coffee, you can go get an energy drink, or you can watch a race at Talladega because it's just as exciting and will keep you just as awake. So we're going to have a blast tonight, 75 laps. No fast repairs tonight, so these guys are the best of the best. They don't need any stinking fast repairs, so we're just going to get it going tonight.
Yeah, I might need a little fast repair to get me back up to par after flying in from Arizona, but yeah, no fast repairs. They're definitely going to have to take care of their stuff tonight, Sean.
Well, let's jump over and just take a look. If this is your first time with Speed Racing Network, then you don't know any of this, but if you are, then you're an old veteran, and so 20 weeks. Fixed setups, meaning everybody has the same exact car, no real differences there. No fast repairs, meaning if you wreck, you're done, you're out. Any damage to the car stays damage of the car unless you fix it in the pits, taking a lot of time. So $15 a week is what they pay to get into this type of race, and we do have weekly and season-long payouts. $1,000 for first place for the season-long playoffs, which is what we're into right now, and we do have 5-person teams because we do have a team championship that we give away at the end of the season as well. So we'll talk about all this stuff a little bit later on in the broadcast, but just suffice it to say, we've got a lot of money out there. We have a lot of great drivers out there. We're going to have a great time tonight.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities for these guys to win throughout the season. You know, a lot of prize winnings that they have going for them, but like you see right there, no fast repairs. It can go away that easily and that quickly. And tonight, we're going to see a lot of that. I'm watching the practice session right now behind us, and these boys are pushing a lot through the turns. So I'm hoping that they get that out of their system because, like you said, if they get a little bit of damage, especially at this track today, their chances of winning are gone, and they're going to have to really dig themselves out of a hole. So definitely something to pay attention to for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the first 2 series races that we've had, the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, we've had some incredible racing out there, a lot of green flag racing out there, a lot more than we expected. And so we're hoping to see the same thing out of our best drivers here tonight. But here's what they're racing for. 4 spots are going to get paid out tonight based on entries. So first will get $55, second will get $35, third will get $20, and fourth will get their money back. But even just getting your money back is a success. If anytime you get to go and race for free, essentially, that's not a bad day.
Oh, not at all. And when I was growing up racing, that was mainly the goal, was to pretty much get back what you put into it, and then everything else after that is a bonus. So these guys have a good chunk of change that they're racing for tonight. Normally we pay out the top 7, but in a little bit of a smaller field again tonight. But still, I mean, they are racing for a good chunk of change, Sean.
Yes, they are, and not only just for this race, but also for the entire season. Like we said before, $1,000 for first place, but we still pay out top 5, so $600 for second, $350 for third, $225 for fourth, $150 for fifth, and then that all-important team championship, $300 for that.
Yeah, and if you're finding yourself into the final 5 of the playoffs, you're likely going to be finding yourself in contention for a team championship as well. So you combine those 2 paydays and split a little bit of the team championship with the rest of your team, you're going to come away with a really, really nice season, and you're going to want to come back for a little bit more, I imagine, next season and try to redo what you did here. But yeah, this is one of the best things about SRN is they have prizes all around, and it's not just the season payouts. We have weekly payouts and all kinds of payouts that we like to offer throughout the season. So, kudos to them.
Yeah, and the only people that are eligible for this top 5 are the ones that are in the playoffs. But we had a lot of drivers that didn't make the playoffs or came into the season really late, so they weren't eligible for the playoffs. So we went out to Flavor Bomb. Flavor Bomb came back to us and said, let's do a second tier playoff, so that way everybody that still wants to race still has something to race for.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate Flavor Bomb going out and doing this. They always like to help us out here at SRN, and you guys should definitely check them out at fbbbq.com. They're going to go ahead and bring us, a little bit of something extra to race for. I'm one of these guys that's sitting in the second tier playoffs because they only take 15. So obviously there are some left out, and I would race regardless if I had something to race for towards the end of the season. But still, this just adds an extra dimension to the races that we're going to see out there. There's 2 separate races on track, and one of them is going to be for that second tier championship, and the other is going to be for that main championship. It's a little bit difference in payout, but still, we're all racing for something here, and that's awesome.
I'm gonna sound like a TV salesman when I say this, but wait, there's more. We have Butt Kicker, who is presenting the Clean Driver Award. So whoever is the cleanest driver in this series will get a free butt kicker, courtesy of Butt Kicker Company. And if you aren't that best driver, that aren't that cleanest driver out there, you can still go and use our discount code SRNVS20 to get 20% off of your regularly priced order. And Greg, these things, basically as you're driving, you feel every single bump in the entire racetrack. You feel the car turning underneath you. It is absolutely a game changer.
It really is a game changer. These things practically put you out there on the track, and you can feel the tunnel turns, you can feel the little dips in the ground, and you can feel when you're going off road in the grass. It tells you in a hurry what's going on with your car, and it just makes it that much easier for you to really dial in your game when you do hit the sin track. And that discount code down there, SRNVS20, 20% off your order is nothing. That's a big discount. These things are roughly around $180 brand new, so you're finding yourself getting about $30 off a piece. And you can have as many as you want of these. You can have 1, 2, you could have 4, 5, or 6. So go ahead and take advantage of that if this is a product that definitely is interesting to you. Just about all of us have one of these at least. So definitely give them a check out too.
And if you want to get better at iRacing, then the best way to do that is with a great coach. And we have one of the best ones out there. We have Kane Cook himself. And Kane races on the biggest stage of them all on iRacing, the Coca-Cola Series. And his iRating is more than double that of anybody that is out on the track tonight. So this guy is the best of the best. He is absolutely fantastic. And, he's known for one thing, and that is hard charging, which means he starts from the back and works his way all the way up through the front throughout the race.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to do on iRacing. You're at the will of everybody else out there on track. So for him to be able to get up through the field cleanly as much as he does says a lot about him. Not only does he have 2 accounts that are in the professional rating of over 7,000, but this guy is just a really good guy overall too. And it gives you a little bit of nerves when you realize, one of these Coke Series drivers is coming in and is going to kind of tell you what you're doing wrong. But really, he's just a good guy, and you become friends with Kane, and he really cares about your improvement and everything that you're doing out there on track. So it's not like, quick hour and then you're done, you never hear from him again. It's definitely something you want to take advantage of if you're looking to improve your iRacing skills. And I'm one of the guys that takes advantage of it, and I can tell you that you will see a difference, and you'll start picking up wins pretty quickly. So if it's something that interests you, definitely check them out right there. You see it in the red. Book your session on speedracingnetwork.com, and they make it really easy for you on there.
Definitely. Now, let's take a look at our team championship leaders. And Roel Smith Racing has just had a phenomenal last 10 weeks or so. And so that has vaulted them about 220 points ahead of the next team in front, which is Filthy 5 Motorsports. And so Roel Smith Racing with 7 wins on the season, Filthy 5 with 4, and only one other team has a win, and that's R&D Motorsports down there in 6th. So if you take a look at this, you would think that it's all over, but teams can actually gain a lot of points from week to week, so it's not quite over yet. Filthy Five, they like these restrictor plate tracks, and so I could see them making a little bit of a jump here tonight.
Oh, it's not over by any means, Sean. We still got a lot of season left. This is the first week of the playoffs, but we still have 7 weeks left to go in our season itself. So those points can easily get tightened back up, as we saw Filthy Five Motorsports do a little bit earlier on in the season. They were really narrowing the gap between them and Roel Smith Racing. And, they've had a few people not show up week to week, and that's kind of hurt them a little bit, but they're still in it very much so. It can easily pull out a win in any given week, so that can easily start to change at any time. But Team SRN right there in third is another team that's definitely still within reach and has the drivers to get the job done. They just need to start putting together finishes with all of them out there on track.
Definitely. And those team standings in that team championship brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Eat better, feel better. Look for your local Tropical Smoothie Cafe and go out and get the Beach Bum with white chocolate. It is absolutely amazing. You will call me and thank me. So let's start talking about the really important stuff here tonight. We're starting the playoffs, and so these are our playoff standings as they sit going into the first race of the playoffs. And Jake Roel, with those 4 wins this season, is out front with those bonus points, followed by Timothy Latham, and then you have Roel Smith Racing in the next 3 slots. So 4 of the top 5 of positions up there are all Roel Smith Racing. So they're looking really good.
Yeah, they are looking really good. They definitely got the momentum going in their direction, winning a couple of the last races. I know Sky Healy got that win off his list, and then Dean Brummett, he got that win checked off his list as well. So, these guys know how to get it done, and they're ready to go out there and get to it. Now that all those names are finalized in green, it's go time.
Definitely. Well, let's start talking about each one of these drivers, one by one, and we'll start off with Jake Roel. Greg.
Yeah, Jake, has 4 wins in this series, the most wins in Speed Racing Network history as well, with 7. The most laps led this season, 7 top 5s, 8 top 10s. This guy is just impressive, and he shows it every week. But even more impressive than his number of wins is the tracks that he's won on. He's won this season on a road course, a short track, and 2 1.5-mile tracks. But one thing he doesn't have yet in the Cup Series, a restrictor plate win. So, he was 5th at Daytona earlier this season. He definitely knows how to put himself into contention, but can he get it done out here at Talladega tonight, Sean?
Yeah, well, next up we've got Timothy Latham with 2 wins this season, 2nd most laps led, and the only driver in the series to actually have an average start and finish position both in the top 10. So he starts off in the top 10 and finishes in the top 10 on average each race. And, even when we think that his car is destroyed on the track, we still see him bringing home a top 10. But the one thing against him is at Daytona earlier this season, he finished 32nd. And so he'll be looking to get a little bit of restrictor plate redemption here tonight.
Definitely. So third up here, we're going to see Sky Healy, another one of those Roel Smith cars. 1 win on the season at Martinsville. Most people think that Jake Roel and Timothy Latham are in a class of their own, but, don't look past Sky Healy. Sky has 7 top 5s and 8 top 10s, just like Jake Roel, and you won't find a driver on a bigger hot streak than this man right now. He's had 5 finishes, top 5 finishes, in 6 straight races. I'm sorry, I read that a little bit wrong there. His 14th place finish at Daytona is still a bitter subject, though. He's looking to continue his top 5 streak tonight here.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get that done. But another guy out there that wants it just as bad is Dean Brummett. He's got 1 win this season, and he's got the 3rd most wins in Speed Racing Network history with 5. He's also the current leader for the Butt Kicker Clean Driver Award. So most of the time, when you're elite at something like this, then you make some rivalries along the way. You kind of make some enemies along the way. But this guy is one of the most likable people in the league. In fact, last season, he raced from a hospital room while he had COVID in the playoffs. So, how can you not root for a guy like that? He's not just likable, though. He's good. He's got top 10s in all but 4 races this season. He's a pretty safe bet to be near the front again tonight.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely be seeing him up there. But another guy we'll be seeing up there, he ran really good at Daytona earlier this year, is Jacob Smith. In that 11 machine, he may be known for his road courses, which he did win last season's Watkins Glen race by 42 seconds, but he's equally as good on the ovals, including his one win this season at Bristol. He's a streaky driver who started off with 2 races outside the top 10, then 3 inside the top 10, then 5 outside the top 10. Now he's on a streak of 3 straight top 10s. Can he make it a 4th? His 8th place finish at Daytona earlier this season says he has the talent to do so, so we definitely expect to see that 11 machine running up towards the front tonight at Talladega.
Yeah, next up we got Ted Rekich. And now Ted, in the Daytona race earlier this season, he finished in second place to none other than my co-broadcaster, Greg Olenek, by 1/1000th of a second. That's how close he was to winning. And so he'll look to give himself another shot at victory tonight on a restrictor plate track. And so Ted is one of those drivers that he kind of stays out of trouble long enough for people to wreck around him. So he has an average starting position of 11th, an average finishing position of 15th. So he's always right there, just waiting for you to mess up so he can take your spot. He'll have his chances to do that tonight.
Definitely. So next up, we're going to have James Holzer. Average starting position of 12th on the season. Average finish of 7th. 5th most laps led in this league. 3rd most top 5s. 2nd most top 10s. This guy is in the top 10 or top 5 in almost every stat in the league. He's finished as a runner-up in 3 races this season. The one monkey on his back is getting that win. He finished 4th at Daytona earlier this season. This could be the night for Holzer to finally break through here at Talladega.
Next up, we got Damian Leininger. I had to ask him a little earlier how to pronounce his name because I've been saying it wrong all season long. But it is Leininger. And so he was the last guy that actually made it into the playoffs, but he saved his best race of the season for that last week. So while he doesn't have a win to his credit yet, he has the 3rd most laps led in the league. In fact, he has led more laps in just the past 2 weeks than all but 2 drivers have led all season long. And so if he can keep that streak going in the next 3 races, he'll definitely make it into the next round of a playoff that he was worried that he wouldn't qualify for in the first place.
For sure. And so we're going to have Mitch Rollo next. And Mitch started the season with guns blazing, posting a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 1st place finish in his first 3 races with SRN. But since then, he's been a bit of a magnet for other cars, ruining his night. Here's an interesting stat on that. Of the 15 playoff drivers, Mitch has led the least number of laps while still posting a win. And those laps weren't even led in the race he won. He won when another driver was disqualified. But the key for Mitch tonight will be to stay clean. He has had 4 clean races this season with an average finish of 7th. If he keeps it clean, you'll see him around in the next round for sure.
Next up we got Gabriel Ellison, and how this guy is only 10th place on our list, I will never understand because he has raced only in 11 races this season, and he's finished in the top 10 of every single one of them. He usually starts around mid-pack and works his way up to a 6th place finish on average. He's the 2nd cleanest driver in the league behind Dean Brummett. If he starts closer to the front than usual, then watch out. He might win his first race of the season here tonight.
Absolutely. And then we're going to have Kyle Spees in the 11th spot. Hard Chargers don't get enough credit, but let's give some of that credit right now. Kyle Spees has had an average starting position of 20th and an average finishing position of 11th. He's only had 2 races where he has not moved up during the race. One of those was when he started and finished 3rd at Las Vegas, so don't focus on where he starts at Talladega, but don't be surprised to see him up there at the end either.
Next up, we got Austin Reedy. Now, we were introduced to Austin Reedy back when he and James Holzer were going shot for shot in the four wide racing series, and now here in Speed Racing Network, things really haven't changed too much. They're both in the playoffs. They're both proving that they're 2 of the best. Austin is super consistent with an average start and finish position within 2 positions of each other, so he's always right there consistently. The one knock that Reedy has against him is that he hasn't been up front much this season, leading only 1 lap all season long. But with 5 top 10 finishes this season, he's got the ability to do it.
All right, then Brandon Key is going to be 13th by his own account. This has been a very frustrating season for Brandon. Perhaps the most telling stat for him is that he has only had 1 top 10 finish, but has only had 2 finishes outside the top 18 all season. So he never kills the race car, but most of the time the damage sustained keeps him from being up front. But you could tell he likes the bigger tracks. Auto Club and Daytona were the tracks where he led his 18 laps. If he can stay out of trouble tonight, he has the talent to go all the way.
I'm not a massive gambler here, Shane, or here, Greg, but I'm going to tell you about Shane Good here and tell you about possibly a good bet for you. Another big mover throughout the race with an average start position of 23rd and an average finish position of 14th. So he moves up on average 9 positions each race. He doesn't have a single lap led all season long and only has 4 top 10 finishes, but don't go to sleep on him. Those 4 top 10s have all been in the last 5 races, so you never, ever, ever bet against a hot streak.
Oh, not at all. All right, rounding out our field, though, in the playoffs, number 15, Scott Kalal. Has only 1 top 10 all season long, so how is he in the playoffs? Consistency. After a bad first race at Chicagoland, Scott has not been out of the top 20 since. And if you take away the short tracks, he hasn't had a single race with more than 8 incident points. That just means he's a clean, consistent driver that you can depend on to get a top 20 finish. And depending on what the other drivers in the playoffs do, that might just be enough to get him in the next round. And Sean, can I burst the bubble now? He's already doing that. With that number 1 starting position, you see Scott Kalal getting the pole tonight.
Yeah, and Gabriel Ellison, I said a little bit earlier, watch out if he starts up front. He is up in the 2nd position with Max Service from Tank Racing in 3rd and Greg Wellen from H2K Motorsports in 4th.
Yeah, we see last week's winner, the Mr. Hot Streak himself, Dean Brummett's going to be starting 5th. Seth Berger from Tank Racing is going to be starting 6th. Chris Massey out there in the 83 machine is going to be starting 7th. And Brandon Key, another one of our playoff drivers, is starting in 8th.
Then you got Timothy Latham from Filthy 5 Motorsports in 9th, Ted Rickich from Team SRN in 10th, Joshua Balliet from Tank Racing in 11th, and Damian Leininger from Rev Racing in 12th. All right.
It's going to go ahead and fill out our top 12 there, but you see all the cars gridding up on the track. We got, about 24, 25 cars out there tonight, Sean?
We do. We got 25 cars out there on the track, and believe me, that's more than enough for some really good racing and maybe a little bit of damage too.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we will see a little bit of damage, but hopefully these guys can keep it clean tonight. This has got to be a very daunting moment because it's so easy for these guys to lose a chance at moving on to the next round in the playoffs with those no fast repairs. But the pace car is going to go ahead and kick them off here, and they're going to start their pace lap.
And for those viewers at home, take a look at the scrolling portion of your screen there at the top. Those names that are in green, those are your playoff drivers. Anybody that is in black and orange, they are not your playoff drivers. So just be on the lookout for those playoff drivers, and I think you'll see the cream kind of rises to the top.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of different strategies played on throughout the night, though. I'm imagining that we're going to see some people, duck down to the bottom and kind of go to the back and maybe lose that first pack. Because they don't want to lose their chance early on. But then you're going to see these guys that have that clean air running up towards the front that are going to want to stay in that safe space, which there are no safe spaces around this track. But I imagine we're going to see a lot of different things happening within these first couple of laps.
Well, out there in the chat already, we have Brian Smith, who's the spotter for Jake Rowell, our season points leader, and our playoff points leader as well, saying, well, why was I not asked to provide a picture, And Jake Rowell says, yeah, spotters deserve a pick too, I agree. Well, Brian, sorry.
We like to keep you behind the scenes, Brian. A big secret for everybody here at SRN.
Well, we're about to go through turns 3 and 4. The pace car is going to dive off, and then Scott Kalal is going to get our start with Gabriel Ellison on his outside, and we will see what they can do because, again, we don't normally see these two right up at the front, so this might get interesting pretty quick.
Yeah, we usually see Gabriel work his way up throughout the race. He usually doesn't have that qualifying speed, but yeah, Scott Kalal, we used to see him, running mid-pack for a good majority of the race. It's going to be a little bit different seeing him lead these cars around. We'll have to see if he's got what it takes to, kind of defend a little bit or pick his spots where he needs to. That's the name of the game here at Talladega. You just got to have a strategy going into it. Knowing what you're planning on doing, and I'm sure Scott's going through that right now and trying to decide whether he wants to stay out there and race or go to the back.
Well, we're going around the long way to get to that start-finish line, and the green flag flies, and we're going here at Talladega. It does look like they're going a little bit slow right now, to be completely honest. They've got to get up to speed.
Yeah, it does take a little while on these cars. A good whole lap, I used to like to say. I think they're usually up to speed about turn 3, but yeah, these cars definitely get crawling at first. But yeah, we are green here at Talladega for the Talladega Days 200 playoff race number 1 here in the Cup Series.
This is one of the most exciting races of the year because we have such tight racing, so many different strategies, and if we can get good long green flag runs, then you are going to see some serious pit strategy playing out towards the end of this thing.
Yeah, something serious happening already is that 81 car of Max Service, who qualified 3rd, kind of had a big blink out there for a second. And I know I heard Dean Brummett come over the radio. He's not too much of a big fan of that, so they're going to keep an eye on that in the admin's booth. But if that seems to be a problem, he's going to have to drop out and drop to the back after we complete just 1 lap here at Talladega.
Yeah, we had the same thing happen with Danny Dow during our Xfinity race where he was blinking out even though he was towards the front. He was asked to move back so that way he didn't get anybody into any trouble. But as close as we are here, oh, man, you just don't want to see somebody blinking in front of you. But Gabriel Ellison takes that lead, and now, we got everybody going down low.
Yeah, all those cars just, going to go to the back. One of them is the 81 that we mentioned, and I think you're seeing it going to start fiddle out here is those cars up there too wide are here to race, and then the rest of these guys back here are kind of here to just tick off a few laps and pick up the spots where they can because they know something's going to happen eventually. This is Talladega after all.
Yeah, you can see that second pack kind of forming up back there, led by Dean Brummett on the inside, and it looks like Shane Good there on the outside. So they're going to get lined up and try to take the safe way around. Their teammate Jacob Smith is still up in that lead pack though.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy. But he feels comfortable up there, so it's not surprising to maybe see 1 or 2 of your teammates stay up there and kind of feel out the pack. It's kind of at this point in the race, you're going to be doing some research to figure out how you're going to get up there for one, who you like working with another, and how these cars are actually racing out there. We don't see a lot of these cars going back and forth. They're kind of holding a good line, and that's what you want to see if you're Jacob Smith. So he could just be running a little bit of homework right now and just kind of getting himself prepared for later on in the race.
Yeah, early in these fuel runs, it's a little bit easier to control the car because it's a little bit heavier. As those cars burn off fuel and get lighter, they're going to float up and down the track a little bit more off of corner exit. And so just kind of watch out for that as we get into the lap 20-ish area as these cars get a little bit lighter.
Yeah, and if they could just get that top line a little bit more nose to tail, that 77 get on really on the bumper, that 94, they can clear this inside line. That high line definitely has some speed, is where I usually like to find myself, but they're having a tough time really getting themselves in order right here. I for a second thought the 77 was going to try to make a pass on the 94, but they still are going to hold it in line here.
Yeah, it's a little too early to do anything drastic right now. There is going to be some shuffling, obviously, just kind of jockeying around trying to find your way. But I don't think there's going to be too many crazy moves this early. It's just way too early in the race.
Oh, I completely agree. But, yeah, you say that, and then they all just start spinning around everywhere. That's all it takes is one little wrong tap in the wrong spot on the bumper, and it's going to send somebody around and possibly back down into the field. So not a lot of bump drafting by these guys early on, which is what you want to see. You want to get a good feel for the race, and you just want to tick off some laps. And that's what these guys are doing. They know what's on the line out there, so they're doing a great job of it so far, already coming back to the stripe to start lap 6.
Yeah, and these laps are going to start ticking off a little bit faster and faster just as we get through this race, as long as it stays under green. If it keeps going yellow over and over, of course, it's going to be a lot slower out there, but they're doing a great job of this right now as Greg Wellen leads that lap.
Yeah, we're going to stop saying that specific shade of, orange. We're not going to use that word anymore because I think we're trying to jinx it into existence, and those are some long pace laps that we don't want to go out and see tonight. We want to see some good side-by-side racing, and that's what we're getting right now. And Greg Wellen has that bottom line if he wants it, and 77 has it too, and he's going to take it down there, and he's going to try to make a pass here for first place, and he's going to clear Greg Wellen. 77 moving on up to the lead.
Yeah, that's kind of the paradox here of Talladega is once you get pushed up really, really well by somebody far enough that you can make the pass, you either duck down to the inside and take that position, leaving your guy out high and dry, or if he pushes you even further, he can drop down and take that position, leaving you out high and dry.
Yeah, it's just so funny because, people get kind of bored by super speedway racing and say that it's easy out there. And I can tell you that it is not easy. On top of the driving, which is incredibly difficult in these cars, you're having to try to look over those rear spoilers, which are huge on these Cup cars, as well as, you're trying to figure out when your push is going to come, when you're going to clear this car up front, and what lane you're going to go to, whether you're going to try and stick with that high line that did get you there, or if you're going to go dip down low, which is kind of the preferred line when you're out in front. And we saw it right there. Seth Berger took his chance when Greg Wellen didn't, and now he's the lead of the field. He's the class of the field. So that's just something that the 94 is going to have to put down in his memory banks here. Remember what just happened. And you're going to have to make these decisions on the fly as quick as possible. There's a ton of things going on at these tracks, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it looks like that top 5 has all gotten lined up on the bottom line there, and maybe even the top 6 now. So that outside line with only 4 cars out there, they've got to get a couple more cars out there and start pushing forward a little bit if they want that position.
Yeah, it's looking like Rev Racing is trying to get up top there and get a little bit of something going. It's definitely possible with 4 cars, but they're not wanting to do the side drafting as much right now, which I got to respect. That's when, a little bit more chaos comes into play and some cars start beating and banging off each other. So they're probably holding off on that, but they're holding their own out there considering it's 10 cars to about 4. So they're definitely able to get up there if these guys stay as spread out as they are right now on the inside line.
Yeah, going into our 10th lap here. So far, it's just everybody's been kind of content to be where they are right now. Now, when you're close drafting and everything, you have to be really careful for engine temperatures. But you can see right now, they are not overly close.
No, yeah, they're not. This is probably what they probably talked about this before they even started, and not wanting to bump draft like crazy. And that's what we're seeing. None of these cars are really leaning on one another, which ultimately is going to make this a green flag race. Maybe even get some green flag stops out of this, which is really going to shake up the field. So you got to love what you're seeing out there, especially, after the previous section of the schedule where we were just so happy visiting short tracks. We're seeing some really good racing these last couple of weeks, so you love to see it.
Yeah, especially in the other 2 series, this track was actually a very big breath of fresh air because people were so tired of beating and banging on these short tracks, and then they get out here at Talladega where everyone expects the huge big one to happen and everything like that, and it just didn't really happen in the first two series. They kept it as clean as they could possibly keep it.
It's good to hear. I wasn't able to actually catch those races earlier on in the week since I was on vacation, but we've all had a kind of come to Jesus moment here in the league, and we all want the best for the league, so we want to see the best racing out there, and that's what these guys are getting down to finally, and showing a lot of respect at the same time for each other, and it's really just shows how far we've come. We're in week 13 of this long season, and this is usually the time when it starts to happen. You get a lot of respect for your fellow competitors out there, and it really translates well to the product that we get to put on air. So we got to appreciate it, Sean.
Definitely. A little bit of interesting moving going on. You had Brandon Key on the bottom line. He decided to go up top. Then you have Damian Leininger that was on the top line. He decided to jog down to the bottom.
So not many team orders happening right now. He's just trying to get out there and try to figure a way up to the front, it looks like. But Damian is going to pop back up here, and he's going to try and he popped right back down again. So thought he was about to make a move and try to make his way up to the lead with what looks like David Duke on the outside line, the lead of the outside line?
No, it's Brandon Key. Yeah, Brandon Key decided to do a new paint this week, and so he brought back, actually he had raced his paint a little bit earlier this season. He brought it back this week, and maybe it's lucky for him.
Well, now he's got someone with a little bit of luck on his side as well this season. James Holzer, always talk about him finishing well. He's going to be leading that high line up top. But we just saw it right there. 2 or 3 more drivers just drop down to the bottom, and it looks like they're about to all go single file.
Yeah, and really I think a lot of these guys are just wanting to make it towards the end of the race, and then let's get it on after that. But they just want to make it through the first 40 or so laps and see what they got at about that point. So
Yeah, that's what they're definitely doing out there right now. And it might come off as boring to maybe one or two people, but to the people that want to see great racing, tune in right now because this is what you're seeing. A lot of give and take and a lot of prep towards the end of the race, which is what it's all about. So the one doing the best job of that right now is the 77 machinist Seth Berger, who has been leading probably the last 5 or 6 laps. He's doing a great job out there right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of interesting to me that some of these playoff drivers aren't doing more to get up there and get that bonus point early. So you get a bonus point for leading a lap. And we've had other series where somebody has gotten into the playoffs just based off that one bonus point. So it is super important to get it. And so I'm kind of surprised that nobody from the playoffs that's kind of a little bit further back in the pack is lining up on the outside just to go get that bonus point.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see that a lot more towards the end of the race, but definitely something that's easily to forget about as well. So I'm not sure that's the case, but I have a feeling that we will start to see these playoff drivers make their way up to the front because, like you said at the beginning of this race, the cream always rises to the top. And we still got 60 laps to go, and that's plenty of time here at Talladega. But right now, top 10 is single file.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, this is a really smart move on all their parts. A lot of people love to get up there and racing here at Talladega, that sort of thing, because it is a lot of fun to be in that car, to be side by side with somebody, to be pushed up to the front. That is a blast for people. It is a lot of fun, and it is the best-selling races on iRacing, on the iRacing platform for that reason. But one thing that needs to be understood is in a race with no fast repairs, any damage at all, your race at Talladega is essentially done. And so they have to be super careful, especially here in the first part of the stages, first part of the race, that they don't get damage early on.
Yeah, you would think that would help out the actual real life Cup drivers too. But as we know, mistakes tend to happen in stock car racing. So you're never going to have a clean race all the way through, but right now this is about as clean as it can get for a restrictor plate race. Looks like Ted Reckich, the only one hung out there on the high side right now. He's going to have to find himself a little spot in front of his teammate here, James Holzer. He's going to be able to settle in there. Only falling back to 12th.
Yeah, you can see that. I mean, everybody's lining up. Everybody's, getting all together on this, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that until we get to pit stops, and then it's really going to get fun because people have to call out when they're going into the pits, and they have to have a partner in there because if they don't, then they're going to be left out to dry.
And to throw on top of that, you're having to slow your car down, which you haven't hit the brake pedal this whole race. You're going to have to get that out and really slow this car down from about 200 to 65 miles an hour on that short stretch that they have right before pits. So that's another feat in itself, without spinning and wrecking the car or hurting anybody else around you. And then you also have to time it well enough, too, to make sure that you get off with those cars that you came in with. So otherwise, you're going to lose a lap. So there's a lot that can go wrong with green flag pit stops, and I have a feeling that's when it's really going to start to shake up this whole race, Sean.
Yeah, you got to know that there's going to be teammates out there that all come down into the pits together and everything, but stuff happens on pit road too. If you get in a little bit too quick, then you're going to get a penalty. If you slide in or stop the car, whatever it is, you're going to get either a penalty or you're going to lose time on that. So everybody has to be in perfect coordination as they get into the pit road.
Yeah, and that's not always the case. So hopefully tonight, because it's looking like this is going to be a green flag stop type of race. I'm not too sure the fuel mileage that they have in these Cup cars, but with how spread out they are and only about 2 or 3 cars on the high line, they're starting to get a high line formed up here. There's about 5 cars up there now, led by the 24 of Shane Good. Now Leininger going to jump out in front of him. So they're starting to get that high line going. We're going to see some really good racing here.
Yeah, not really sure who decided to get Froggy there in that lap, but something happened that everybody decided let's start going.
Yeah, well, Brandon Key and Ted Ricketts were both back there, kind of playing around per se, seeing what the air was doing, and then Brandon Key kind of just started to make a little progress up towards the front of the field by just using the side draft, and I'm pretty sure that's when Shane Good jumped out, and then Brandon Key's teammate Damian Leininger jumped out in front of him, but still you can see that high line, really struggling to get that momentum and start moving their way up towards the front. As Shane Good jumps down behind Balliet now, and that high line gets a little smaller.
Yeah, but Seth Berger still leads this thing. He's been leading pretty much the entire way since the beginning, and he has not relinquished that at all. And Gabriel Ellison right behind him has been pretty content to let him lead.
Yeah, Gabriel's in a good spot right now, so he's not really wanting to push it or, really start getting that high line up behind him and pushing him because, like we said, that's when everything starts to get a little iffy, and he does not want to ruin his chances, especially this early on in the race. Where he's just pretty much cruising and ticking off the laps, and, leaving it up to Seth Berger to make a mistake or potentially pick up that spot when these green flag pit stops come. But I can guarantee you that these guys are definitely going to start talking here soon about what lap they're going to come down because they can see how this race is trending.
Well, remember, Gabriel Ellison with 11 top 10s in a row. And so definitely wanting to keep that streak going here. But you also have to remember about Scott Kalala. He is one of those drivers that if he has a clean race, he is going to have a really, really good finish. And so be on the lookout for that because he's kept it pretty clean so far.
Yeah, he's doing a great job after starting on the pole, and he's just kind of hanging out there in third, which is also not a bad spot to be in, especially when this line is mainly just single file all the way throughout. There's really not much danger around them, and they're not really getting pushed throughout the whole track. So these playoff drivers are finding them in a really good position right now to potentially move them. Oh, wow. That was close.
Yeah, those cars are starting to get a little bit light out there, and because of that, I'm not sure exactly who that was that got a little wavy back there, but a little bit of stuff going on.
Yeah, it definitely changes the handling, and then, you're not expecting it, and it can all just get out of your hand and so fast. But a good save by whoever that was back there. But, yeah, these guys up front, like I was saying, they are in a pretty safe position right now and have a hard time believing that they would really take it upon themselves to jump out of line just to try to lead a lap at the moment. Still a lot of time to do that, even though it does bring you an extra point, but just keeping their cars clean, that's the name of the game at the moment.
Yeah, you can see them basically just lining up completely and totally here. On the outside, yeah, you've got Damian Leininger out there along with Brandon Key and somebody else out there as well. I believe that's Ted Reckich still. But they're not really pushing to get up there and take the lead. They're just trying to stay away from those guys on the inside.
Yeah, Brandon was giving Damian a little bit of a push there from the perspective that I'm watching, and it's actually helping him quite a bit. He's been able to clear Balliet now, and he's pulled up to the side of Chris Massey, that fourth car in line. And he's still got the momentum going in his direction as he's going to pull up beside the 23 machine now. That 12 and the 75 and 91 are kind of moving their way up here on that high line.
Yeah, he's getting a decent little push. Oh, and we got a little bit more pushing there on his inside. So Chris Massey up there in fifth position. And honestly, that's not somewhere that we've seen Chris Massey very much this season. He's a much better driver than what his finishes have shown this year.
Yeah, tough year for Chris. He's been pretty busy off the sim, so I know that he hasn't had enough or as much time of practice that he would like. But, from my experience of running with him, he was always one of the heavy hitters here at the Superspeedways, and he's definitely showing that tonight as he quickly got into the top 5 and hasn't relinquished that position yet. But Damian Leininger really trying to get past him and get past Balliet as well back there.
Got to tell you, out there in the chat, we have a lot of Tank Racing fans out there, all rooting on Seth Berger and Joshua Balliet and Max Service. Those are the 3 Tank Racing drivers out here right now, and Seth Berger is putting on a show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's only been with this series for, 4 or 5 weeks now. Kind of came in the same time as Joseph Causey and Max Service, and, they kind of put this team together really quickly, but, they made their names known from week 1. I believe it was with Causey in Atlanta, and he was just there.
Got pitters.
Pit road.
Ted Reckich, Greg Wellen, both pitting.
So is that H2K coming down with a little bit of SRN? So
yeah.
We're seeing a little bit of cross strategy coming down. These are 2 of the smaller teams in the league, so it's not surprising to see that.
It is surprising to only see 2 people go down at the same time, though. So, typically a 3 or a 4 car train is a little bit better, a little bit faster on the track. So we'll have to see how that strategy plays out, as I'm sure we'll get some more takers now that the first ones have come down.
Yeah, you don't see anybody up on that high line except someone just back there passing Jordan Bain. I'm not too sure who that is, but
that's James Holzer up there.
All right, so he's definitely not hitting the time, but
everybody coming down.
Yeah, that's like 10 cars coming down right there. That's what you want to see if you're bidding.
And this is going to get awfully interesting.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how long that big pack also stays out. It's not a matter of tires here at Talladega. It's just fuel. So as long as they got a pack, they can stay out as long as they want. So we'll see what's... Oh, Jake Rowell spinning Dean Brummett out right here on the backstretch.
And we do have a yellow flag, and Dean Brummett and Jake Rowell, those are teammates.
Yeah, a little bit of pushing through the turns, and that turns Dean Brummett around there. No damage on any of these cars, but... Yeah, let's
go back and take a rec replay of our first caution of the night. A little bit of friendly fire.
Yeah, that's going to step back that pack that stayed out. They're going to have to pit under caution, and everyone's going to get around them now.
It looks like Jake just hits him coming off the exit. Just gets a little bit of a love tap there, and that's all it takes. Yeah, just didn't hit him square.
Yep. A little bit too soon, probably. They were just probably trying to time up the push a little as he got off the corner, but maybe just a little too early. And he turned Dean around, but lucky for both of them, they were able to keep the fenders straight in the car.
Yep, and so we are going to get back here and find out how everything shakes out here. Not a very timely caution.
Yeah, there's a lot going on the track, and I don't think it pinned anybody a lap down. And these drivers should only really be pitting for fuel, as the tires can last pretty much a whole race. So if that first 2 group of cars that went down, they should not have gone a lap down. But we'll have to really see how everything resets itself after these guys go down the pits.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much everybody stayed on the lead lap there. And so that is good to see, because it makes for even better racing. But these guys that are leaders that did not pit already, they're going to go ahead and jump into the pits and go ahead and get all that fuel, maybe some fresh tires, since they're not really under a big time crunch here.
Yeah, you could definitely do that under yellow for sure. Come in and get tires. There's no reason not to. But yeah, definitely under green flag conditions. I imagine these drivers are only taking fuel only. But be curious to see if any of the ones that pitted already come back down as well to maybe get those 4 tires that we mentioned.
Now, my scoring is saying that Timothy Latham did not pit, but I am 99.9% sure that he did.
Yeah, that's not going to be good for his fuel mileage if he did not. But yeah, I think I'm showing the same thing too, but there's no way that he would have stayed out.
Going back and taking a look to see. And I don't see on my scoring where he jumped into the pits, but I could be very mistaken on that.
Well, that's going to be an interesting decision that we'll see how it plays out if he actually did stay out. Because I would hope that he would come down this next time by to get a little bit of fuel or something. I don't know if he's trying to lead a lap to get that point that you had mentioned earlier. Or it could just be a scoring error on our part, and he could have actually pitted, and we're just talking about nothing.
We're going to go back and take a look at the entire cluster here. And I don't see a Timothy Latham here. In fact, I see him still out there running with this lead group. And so I'm not sure if he did pit.
Really interesting.
Looks like he got it woed up there, and it is going to be awfully interesting if he didn't.
Yeah, because he had his teammate right there in front of him with Kyle Spees, who definitely came down and pitted. So not sure exactly what the strategy play is there, but maybe we'll
Oh,
find
here he
out here.
comes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think he just wanted that point.
And again, a very smart move. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the broadcast. Get that bonus point any chance you can. And now we have everybody else coming back down into pit road again.
Yeah, just top off on fuel. This is a long pace lap that's gonna take away a fair amount of fuel. Anything that can get you a little bit of an edge there at the end. If it comes down to one lap of fuel, these guys are in the good now. So not a bad call by them.
Well, still looking at 45 laps to go this time around, so still a long way to get this going. And out there in the chat right now, Brandon Browning saying, "I love you, Greg Olenek," and then asking me if I'm ready for the All-Star race. And man, I am more pumped up right now about the All-Star race than I have ever been. We are getting closer and closer to draft day, which is May the 1st, so next Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Something that I've never seen done before here on iRacing, but in any league, an all-star race with a draft and all the accolades that come with it. We're going to put the ARCA cars out there at Indianapolis Motor Speed, or no, it is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I had to make sure I wasn't saying
Right.
Indianapolis Raceway Park. But we're going to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's going to be a 3-day event. You see them right there. May 1st, you got the draft. The qualifier races on May 8th, and Sunday, May 9th, is going to be the All-Star race. So, maybe, Sean, you should show Brandon Browning some love for me and pick him first overall, because I love Brandon Browning as well.
Well, we'll find out who picks who overall first or any other position there. But I will tell you a little secret that we discussed a little bit earlier today. Even if you are one of the last 5 picks, you can still have a chance to win some money, because we're allowing the last 5 picks. We're going to call it the Mr. Irrelevant Award. Basically, if you make the All-Star race and you were one of the last 5 picks, you're going to get $10 just for making the All-Star race.
Wow. See, you guys just like giving away money here. Any chance you can get. You're just trying to give it away, but that's an awesome deal, man. And someone's definitely going to take advantage of that. I have a feeling that one of those last 5 picks will make the All-Star race. That's my hot take.
Oh, we're going to have some fun with it, definitely. But Pace Car is going to dive off, and Greg Wellen is going to get the restart here with James Holzer on his outside.
Yeah, Mr. Baseball himself up here in the 94 machine. Always got some kind of a baseball-oriented paint scheme, and right now he's got the Cardinals on there, and he's going to be taking the Cardinals back to the start-finish line here in first place as we're under green.
Definitely. I'm a big Redbirds fan myself here, being from Memphis and the Memphis Redbirds here. So good to see another Redbirds fan out there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I give you guys a lot to cheer for. I'm an Orioles fan myself, so I don't even know when baseball season starts most of the time.
I was about to say, do they still play?
Yeah, I think they do. They don't televise them down here in the Charlotte area.
Well, James Holzer jumps out and takes that lead away from Greg Wellen. He's going to come around, and he is going to try to get this bonus point, which, again, as a playoff driver, will help him going forward.
Yeah, you're going to start seeing those drivers with those yellow spoilers indicating that they're a playoff driver probably start working their way up to the front here a little bit, try to control this field. And I have to imagine that this James Holzer machine, who we see kind of leading the field week in and week out, is going to be really hard to get past here. And we'll have to see how Greg Wellen and the 28 of Jordan Bain behind Greg race and try to see how this field feels itself out, whether it's going to go back to that single file field that we had, which it has, or if they're going to try to build that second row and go on the top side here.
I got to tell you, going back to the guys that were involved in the last incident, Dean Brummett, Jake Rowell. Once again, Jake Rowell on the tail of Dean Brummett. Man, hopefully he can keep it squared up this time around, but it looks like Dean Brummett hasn't really lost any speed.
Yeah, I don't think that that's much to worry about as far as, these two go. They've raced together quite a bit. They're really good friends, and I'm sure Jake came over the comms real quickly and apologized, and he knew what he did, and nothing to worry about here in that 25 machine. They got a plan there for RSR, and they're probably just sticking to the plan, they had a little bit of a road bump come up there, and they're going to learn what they did wrong and move on, and that's what they're doing.
Our leader, James Holzer, blinking out a little bit there. Again, very disconcerting when you have somebody at the very, very front of the pack blinking out like that. That could take out the entire pack.
Yeah, just put yourself in the perspective of that 94 machine, and you see this car that you're driving literally on the bumper of just blink out, and you don't know where it is anymore. It's gonna come back. It's a little bit of a scary feeling out there, so that's why you see them keeping a little bit of space. And ultimately, that's probably why Jordan Bain there in third has got a little bit of more of a space behind them. You try to separate away from them to kind of let them feel out their network issues or whatever's going on. And that's what some of these guys are doing right now. But it seems to have corrected itself. I'm not seeing too many blinks, but you see somebody back there. That's Brandon Key back on that high line again. He's really trying to get it going all by himself, ain't he?
Yeah, we saw in the Xfinity race, we saw Zach Taylor almost make that high line work all by himself, but towards the end of the race, he needed a little bit of help and ended up with a pretty good finish.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do it all by yourself here. It's not like the tandem drafting days of 10 years ago or however long it was. You definitely need a line. You definitely need a tight line. But these Cup cars are just very hard to draft with as well in this new draft package. So I'm sure some of these guys haven't even been out in the Cup car ever since they came out with the update, and it's taken a little bit of a lesson, get them back in the swing of things out here. I can tell you from my experience in the restrictor plate race at Daytona, it's a lot different feeling from what it was back then than what it is now. So I know it's probably throwing a little bit of these guys off a little bit.
You know, going back towards the back of the pack here, so 7 seconds behind the leader, you have a 2-person pack back here. So this is Danny Setzer and Timothy Latham. So a little bit surprising to see Timothy Latham this far back there, but he's got some help back there with Danny Setzer. So I don't think he'll fall too far off the pace. And I think they're just kind of biding their time right now.
Yeah, but if this thing stays green, those two drivers are going to be really behind the 8 ball. They don't have anybody else to really work with back there. And I'd say you need about 5 or 6 cars to really show that same speed that these leaders are showing. So they're hoping that big one does happen. But right now, without these drivers are just so spread out, really showing a lot of respect for each other. I'm not sure we're going to get that tonight, Sean.
Yeah, these guys want to put on a good show, just like pretty much any driver out there. And in fact, one of the things that was said last week and the week before, after a couple of weeks of kind of caution fests, was their concern that people wouldn't enjoy watching it because it was under so much caution. So they've been working together really well to try to really help out each other to put on a good show for the fans, not just for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, how much do they really want to hear us talking all the time, Sean? They want to see these guys out here performing week after week, and they've done a really good job to rectify that, and they're really putting on a good show. And we're seeing that right now as these guys are really going after it, but doing it in a kind fashion, to say the least. They're just kind of letting the race feel itself out. That's what you want to see.
I've just been told by race control that Timothy Latham dropped back on purpose, so that is a strategy move. And Danny Setzer back there with him. So that is a strategy call for those two to just kind of stay out of trouble, which, again, we've talked about it from the very beginning. That is a strategy that a lot of people use, especially when they feel like this race is not going to go green.
And it's often a winning strategy. You just got to be in it to win it, and you can't be in it if you're one of those wreck cars that often come out of the big one. So these guys up here right now are, they're in position to win this race, but they're also in a dangerous position to easily lose a lot of points right now. But I mean, 2 of these drivers that are in the top 3 right now, Jordan Bain and Greg Welland, are Tier 2 drivers. So they're really out here just trying to make a name for themselves and kind of keep it clean at the same time.
Yeah, let's check in with Seth Berger back here in 6th position. So he led a lot of the first part of this race, and so still up there in the top 10 and still wanting to make his name known. His teammate right behind him, Joshua Balliet, in that number 74 car, also up there as well. Not in the playoffs, but definitely on their way towards the front.
Is that a 74 on that car, or
It
is
is.
that a 71?
It is a 74. It is actually a very beautiful paint scheme. I really do enjoy that paint scheme.
It was really hard to see, and I'm like, did he change his number? I was really confused for a second, but yeah, that is a beautiful car. Looks like it was done by Devin Zimmerman, since it kind of resembles his Xfinity Series car that he runs down there. But yeah, Tank Racing has got a good little team put together here towards the second half of this Cup season, and they are going out week in and week out and putting the cars up to the front, and that's what they're doing right now, sitting mid-pack but running really well.
Yeah, as we start off lap 39 here, James Holzer still leads this thing.
Yeah, just kind of setting sail and hoping that it stays that way. These guys are all single file, and that's got to be the easiest lead that he's ever had, because I swear, whenever I'm the leader, they're 3 wide trying to get by me up for this lead. So he's got to be loving that these guys are kind of just hanging out behind him and just watching those laps tick off. Like we said, I imagine they're going to have one more green flag pit stop to go to get to the end of this race, and it's probably getting close to that point to where these guys need to figure out what lap they want to do that on.
Yeah, and just taking a look between a couple of guys here. So let's take a look at the difference here between number 42 of James Holzer and number 17 of Danny Setzer as we take a look at their lap histories, because you'll see here, well, you know what? If it comes up, I don't know if it'll actually come up right now. So, but anyway, what I was going to say is, Danny Setzer, there it goes. See, that all I had to do was wish it into existence. Danny Setzer is 0.3 all the way to 0.7 slower than James Holzer. So that 2-car pack is losing about half a second a lap here. And so if this thing keeps going green for another 20 laps, I mean, that's just a long time. So as great of a strategy as that could be, it only works if there's a caution.
Yeah, they're at the grace of the flag man right now, and they're sitting about 10 seconds back of the leader, and it's only growing exponentially. So Timothy, like you said, has a plan. It's all orchestrated. I'm sure he's not sweating too many bullets just yet, but if it were me, I would be starting to get a little bit clammy, a little bit sweaty, because this definitely has a green feel to it. I don't see where these guys are racing out there right now where we're going to see that big wreck, unless it's an accident like we saw earlier with Jake Roel and Dean Brummett.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking through, and literally everybody is lined up with the exception back there of Ted Rekich again, trying to stay on that outside, and that's he and Chris Massey are there on the outside trying to do something.
Yeah, it could be another little bit of a research experiment going on here to see just how easy it is to get past these cars, and right now they're doing a pretty good job of it. Just the 2 of them. They're going to get another one on behind them with Max Service, it looks like. So they'll get a nice little 3-car group going and should be able to get past up that 64 car, maybe up to that 75, but I can't see them gaining all the way to the front right now without a little more help.
Well, up front right now, you got James Holzer still leading the way, and so if he continues to tick off these laps like this, then he could get that other bonus point for most laps led.
Yeah, I think he still has a little bit of ways to go before he gets there. Seth Berger led quite a few laps here at the beginning of this race, but Holzer's definitely trending in that direction to pick up as many points as he can get, especially if he pulls off that win tonight. He's going to max out on points in the first race of the playoffs. Can't ask for much more than that.
No, and that's exactly what he's looking to do. He just wants to stay up on the top of that leaderboard, towards the top, so he doesn't have to worry too much about race 2 or 3.
Well, he's doing a good job of it, as we have single file from about 1st through 16th, so not much action going out there on the track, but just to name a few of these drivers that have been moving up quite a bit. That 3rd place driver, Jordan Lane, has moved up from 15th, and he's kind of just found a nice little spot to settle in there in that 28 Sparkling Shine machine. You see Austin Reedy, who started 18th, is up to 7th in that 84 car. And someone that we don't see quite often here anymore is that 88 machine of Joseph DuPont, who is sitting in 8th right now after starting on shotgun on the field. He started last place, so he's having a good little run right now, to name a few guys that have been moving up through the field.
Yeah, and it's good to see Joseph DuPont back up there towards the front of the field. He's a really great road course driver. Just really hasn't had the season this year that he really has wanted to have. So, but it is good to see him back up in contention.
Saw that little high line on the outside there, kind of falling back to the back of the pack as they were. But you're not going to learn anything without doing anything, and that's what they're trying to do right now. But yeah, starting to get a little bit of a separation here from what looks to be that Damian Leininger and the 25 of Dean Brummett. There's a good 4 or 5 cars in between them. So I'm not sure if that's by plan or if Dean's just trying to hang out a little bit to get a little bit of more of a view. But yeah, he's catching up to them now, it seems like. But yeah, there's a little bit of a gap there.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it is kind of a strategy also to just kind of hang back, not right up on somebody's bumper, because that draft will still keep you up there with the pack, but you just don't really want to go anywhere right now. And that's, I think, where Dean Brummett is right now, where he doesn't really want to push yet. Let's just take our time and enjoy the draft, but not really have the harm.
No, I agree with you. That's definitely a good strategy call by him. I'd say we got about 20 more laps, 15, 20 more laps to go before you start seeing the people really try to make their moves. And I have to imagine that those moves are going to come after we go green flag pit stops here, just to see how that field shakes out. But yeah, I got a couple of RSR cars here lined up, and then a couple 55 Motorsports right behind them. So we'll have to see how those team points shake out after tonight.
Yeah, but up front, James Holzer still leads this thing. And he is content to do just that. Greg Wellen, who's not even in the playoffs, is up there, giving him enough of a push to keep him out front, but not so much that they break away.
Yeah, fortunately for Greg Wellen, had a really good season. He's definitely one of these drivers that is capable of being a playoff driver, but had something pop up last week where he wasn't able to make that last race to get the cut. Ultimately cutting him out of the playoffs, but still here, trying to get that first win on the season and ultimately make a name for himself like he's been trying to do all along.
Yeah, and we're about 19 laps into this green flag run, so it's about to get to that point where you have to start thinking about when you're going to pit again.
Yeah, and they, those people that came down a little bit before the yellow are probably a little scarred, because that can definitely set you back. Thankfully, when you pit here at Talladega, you do not go a lap down. But if it stays green for a little while and you're out there just cruising around, you can definitely go a lap down after being out of the pack for a lap or two. So those guys were probably sweating bullets and then saw that caution flag come out. So they might just try to stretch this as far as they can go and all come down together at once. Or we could see what we saw last time, and it was kind of like a half and half deal.
Well, keep in mind that these drivers that are not in the playoffs right now are still in the Tier 2 playoffs that are presented by Flavor Bomb. So again, go out there and get that Flavor Bomb seasoning. It's FBBBQ.com, and I'm telling you, the Moab seasoning is the bomb. And yes, I will say the pun, that is what it is. It is absolutely amazing. So definitely go to FBBBQ.com, get your Flavor Bomb seasoning, and thank you so much, Flavor Bomb, for sponsoring our Tier 2 playoffs. So that way these guys like Greg Wellen still have something to race for.
Yeah, it just makes really just great racing throughout the whole field in these playoff weeks. It's really awesome that they do that for us here at SRN, and I honestly think that the racing becomes even better once we get in the playoffs because of that, since we have two championships that are being raced for, and there's just really respect shown all around. Where Greg Wellen is at, you can tell that car in front of him is a playoff driver, and he's going to show him a little bit more respect, knowing that he is in contention for a championship than he probably would earlier on in the season. So, there's a lot of respect being had out here in both regards to both championships, and that's definitely what SRN has worked for all season, is getting these drivers to be where they are, show some respect out there, and ultimately come home with some money, and that's what these guys want.
Definitely. Everybody loves the money out here, but I also have to say I love this league and this series because of the camaraderie that's there. Because even if people get into each other on the track and yeah, they get all ticked off and all that stuff, this is still kind of a brotherhood where, anybody would help anybody in these series, regardless of whether you've turned somebody in the past or whatever it is. Life is life. And here comes, here we go.
All by himself, too. Wow. That is not the strategy that he was hoping for.
No, it's not.
I literally watched every car just drive right on by him. That's unfortunate for him. He's going to be really having a hard time to get back on this draft, and we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can catch anybody or if he's going to drop back and link up with some people as they come into the pits here shortly as well. You know why he came in right now, though. The reason he came in right now is because we're within the pit window to go the rest of the race. So he wanted to go ahead and get that last pit stop over with. I think that's why he did that.
Yeah, I still would have tried to talk to somebody up on the radio or just waited until people were saying they were pitting, because seeing that as they went right back by again, that's not what he wanted to see again. Yeah, I can't see. Okay, so he's about in the middle of the backstretch right now, and they're about to exit too. So
yeah, not a lap down yet.
Yeah, they could see him entering 3, and they're going to catch him within 4 or 5 laps, depending on how much longer they stay out.
Oh, here we go.
He's letting them know right there that he's pitting.
Saw James Holzer go down below the yellow line there, so I think he might be the next one.
I think we'll see Jordan Bain come with him more than likely.
Oh, yeah, here we go. So James Holzer, Scott Kalal. Who else we got back there?
I better get that woed up. Wow.
Yeah, John. Who else we got going into the pits there? Joshua Balliette, Austin Reedy, Ted Rekich, all of them going down into the pits. And Scott Kalal actually made up some time there on his own teammate.
Yeah, if he doesn't get black flag, that's the pit of the day, because he made up some big time, and that's what I was saying. You can make up a lot of time on this pit entrance, but you can also lose a lot of time as well.
Jordan Bain out front now. And again, he is in that second-tier playoff brought to you by Flavor Bomb. So he still has a shot to earn some bonus points here and help him out in that second-tier playoff.
Yeah, and I mean, this is another one of those guys that definitely has the talent to be in the playoffs, just joined the season a little bit too late. And thankfully, Flavor Bomb offers up opportunities for everybody here to win some money, even if we joined a little bit late. But yeah, we got 4 more guys right here. Looks like a little bit of Filthy 5 and a little bit of Tank Racing here coming in.
A little bit of Bronco and H2K too. So we got a little bit of everybody. But out front, we got Rev Racing and Roel Smith Racing. The top 8 is all Roel Smith Racing and Rev Racing right now.
They're definitely out there racing for sure right now. Doesn't seem like RSR is going to be trying to get to the pits if they're up here on the high side, but Team Brummett's going to come down, and we'll see what happens. Jake Roel is going to stay up there on the high side, and Jacob and Shane are going to drop down behind Dean.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens here, but I think Jake Roel might stay out to get that bonus point. No, he's coming down too.
Yeah, you can't lose your teammates, and yeah, they were all going down that round, so hopefully he was able to get it woed up. Another one of those Scott Kalals where he got all of it out of that pit entrance. So but right now, seeing Rev Race Team with Brandon Key and Jordan Bain out in front, and David Duke just behind them.
Yeah, their teammate Damian Leininger went into the pits with Roel Smith Racing there. So I think he might be trying to tag along with that team here, just maybe riding their coattails to the front.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're not tied to just whatever your team does. It's really just where you are on track, and you're going to probably just stick with those cars the most. So, yeah, definitely understand why he would want to come down with Roel Smith Racing there, as that's where he was at the time. We're going to see the rest of these cars all come down here.
Yeah, except for Timothy Latham.
Yeah.
And again, he did pit late the last time around. But we're going to see what he can do out here. Now, keep in mind that he and Danny Setzer were way back for a long time. So we will see if he can catch back up to the lead. Now, Danny Setzer is 1.7 seconds back from Timothy Latham. So Timothy has no help right now.
Yeah, and I don't even think he had enough time to get around those cars that actually pitted or not, since he is about 50 seconds behind the leader at the moment. He's lost a lot of time.
He has, and right now, technically, David Duke is our leader, but here comes the big pack right behind, and that's led.
James Holzer.
Yeah, James Holzer.
Big old head of steam. It's just, you got to stay out of the way and try to either tag along to the back of that draft, which is nearly impossible, or just kind of work with the people behind you and get back up there. But right now, this is looking like our new lead pack, Sean.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same as the old lead pack, including Greg Wellen. So we thought that we had lost touch there with Greg Wellen as he pitted a little bit earlier, but here he is.
Making us look dumb.
Yeah, well, it's not hard to make me look dumb.
Yeah, it's not hard for either of us. But yeah, you see Scott Kalal, our pole sitter for today's race, up to third now after Jordan Bain kind of got cycled out of that position, coming in a little bit later than the rest.
And once again, just taking a look, Gabriel Ellison, again, in that top 10 position right now. And then Kyle Spees with another hard charger type of race where he started off in 20th and now up to 7th.
Yeah, just behind him, Jake Rowell started 21st, up to 8th already. Jacob Smith started 22nd and up to 9th. So all of these guys in this row have really been passing some cars today. And just going to show that they can pass a few more to get up to the lead when the time comes. And that time is coming, Sean, as we are coming to the line for 18 laps to go. I know a lot of guys like to wait till the very end, but I have to imagine that we're going to start seeing some takers here on that high line.
Well, back in this, about 4 seconds behind the leaders, you have David Duke leading the way on this about 10-car pack back here. And this is the pack that has Dean Brummett, Mitch Rollo, Dave Feuds Jr., Brandon Key, Jordan Bain, Damian Leininger, Scott Healy, Shane Good. All these guys are right back here in this group. And if they can get lined up, then they could potentially get up there fairly quickly. So we'll keep an eye on that distance between first place and these cars that are back 11th back to 20th.
Yeah, they're picking up time on my Delta at least, but they're going to have to really start shoving one another. A little bit of pushing down the straightaways to really get caught up to this front pack and get that momentum up. Because I imagine when they're going to get there, they're going to probably try and pass them on the high side. But there is no guarantee. These two cars, or these two packs, are about identical in size. So I'm really excited to see how this unfolds, whether or not David Duke can get that pack up there.
Yeah, David Duke and that pack about 0.3 of a second faster than this lead pack that last lap. So that keeps up. They've still got another 12 laps or so before they catch up to this lead pack. But once they catch up, then you've got drafting all day.
See our leader having a little bit of blinking issues again. Not the time that he wants that to happen with only 6. We're coming up to 16 to go. So, yeah, you see right now it just looks like Wellen's our leader, but then he pops back up, and he's going to have to really get that under control here.
Yeah, we're going to check another lap here as Holzer crosses the line at 49.042. And let's see what David Duke and his group can do. Over half a second faster. So David Duke and that entire group is on the move.
Yeah, they're definitely coming. So they'll probably be up there with like 10 laps to go, and that's going to be really the time when people start changing their lines and losing alliances, to say the least. You've been pushing the same guy out there all night, but you want to win this race, so you're not always most inclined to push the person to the win. So we'll see what happens here. Some friendships will be broken right before our eyes. And
we talked a little bit earlier about Dean Brummett and how he's liked by everybody in the league for the most part. This is the time that you turn in those chips. This is the time that you use those friendships to your advantage. And right now, he is pushing David Duke to the front of this pack. And so when it comes time at the very end of the race, and it comes down to Dean Brummett or David Duke pushing one or another to the win, it might bode well for Dean Brummett that he's done this pushing this entire time.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird scenario when you're in this type of style of racing, because none of these guys are really teammates with one another, but right now they can't do this without each other. So they know that, and they can see their delta on the relative and just how much they're ticking away from that lead. And they see those cars right there in front of them getting bigger and bigger. So they're very inclined to just keep pushing right now. And David Duke just so happens to be at the head of the line, and he's got the best eyes on the field right there, and he's going to have the line to make the move here when the time comes. But yeah, this is definitely when you cash in those chips and you could burn some of those friendship points up a little bit.
Yeah, another half second burned off by this second pack. I gotta point out this one car. Master of Puppets is my all-time favorite Metallica song, and Dave Fuse Jr. has nailed this car.
Sounds like he's catering to the audience here. He just knows that it's your favorite car, and he just put it out there again. I believe he had it at Bristol as well, and it looked just as good out there, but yeah, definitely looks good. Not all beat up like we're used to seeing these cars.
Right here at Talladega, man, we are just getting faster and faster as we get around this course. But David Duke and company, they are within 2 seconds of the leader now. They are about to catch the tail end of that pack, and so we're about to get one big long line between first place all the way back to 22nd place here very shortly.
Yeah, just to show you the difference in the lap, because David Duke's got 2 different drafts working for him. James Holzer ran a 49.27 that last lap. David Duke ran a 48.59. He ran 0.8 faster that last lap than our leader. He is coming up through this field, and people are taking note. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jake Rowell right there kind of slide up. He's right in front of his teammate, but he's got to pick the moment right and kind of carry that pack up to the front. And that's what he's going to do right here. He's going to show him that he's starting a second line. Dean Brummett's going to be able to clear. So 3 RSR cars now up high.
And that was an interesting move because Dean Brummett had pushed David Duke all the way up to that pack. And then he left David Duke alone to meet up with his teammates. And now Dean Brummett on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's how it happens. I mean, you show a little that you're kind of tearing off your allegiance to one another, and then you just act like you don't even know the guy, and you just send them right to the back. So Dean's going to have to really get to work here with 12 laps to go, coming up on 11. To get that car back up to the front.
Man, we are getting closer and closer to the end of this race, and now they're starting to shuffle up a little bit, and this is what we are always looking for at Talladega. It is now go time.
Yeah, and I'm sure James Holzer, our leader, is trying to pay attention as much as he can to what's going on in his mirror, or have his spotter really translate what's happening back there and when that line starts to move, because he's going to have to pay attention to all that.
You know, one of our co-broadcasters, Byron McDonald, who won the truck race here just this past Wednesday, one of the things he said in his interview was, I'm just looking out my front windshield. That's all I can take care of right now is just outside that front windshield. And I think that's all that James Holzer's doing right now.
Yeah, right now. But when that high line starts to creep up, I'm going to tell you, too, you're going to be paying attention to all these cars that are going all over the place, because you want to make sure that you kind of have someone that you can trust staying behind you. Now, when you have that, it's a whole different scenario, and that just sets you up for success, because typically your teammate would not just leave you stranded. So unfortunately for Holzer, he doesn't have that with Greg Wellen behind him, but he does have Scott Kalal close. But both of these guys are playoff drivers looking to get as many points as they can get, so we'll see what happens.
And poise leader Jake Rowell just tucked in right behind Damian Leininger. So, but Jake is back there in 12th position right now. So he's got 10 laps to get this thing figured out.
Ooh, almost a wreck there between Damian and Jake. Damian kind of went up to block Jake's run, and Damian almost got turned there by the 9. Both able to keep it going straight, though.
Yeah, up front, James Holzer still leads this thing, but all the action is starting to take place back here as Jake Rowell once again pops to the outside and gets side by side with Damian Leininger, and he's got his help out on the outside. He's got his buddy Scott Healy along with Shane Good pushing.
Man, if I was Brandon Key or Chris Massey right there, I'd be paying attention big time, because he knows that these cars. Wow, Mitch Rollo right in he's squeezing through there.
Oh, this is getting a little bit dangerous back here in this pack.
Yeah, there's a lot of side drafting going on. There's a lot of bump drafting going on. there's just a lot of racing going on right now, and that's what we want to see as we're coming up to 10 laps. Oh, we're at the 9 laps to go.
Yeah.
I can't even keep up with it. It's going so fast.
It is going really quickly here tonight, but that's okay. We're still loving every bit of this. And again, all the racing is back here in the back right now.
The 12 gets turned by 78.
Oh no! Damian Leininger.
Joseph DuPont, big time in the wall there.
Oh, we got a lot of cars.
Also.
So Damian Leininger gets turned. Joseph DuPont, Jake Rowell involved as well. So our points leader.
Started with the 78 and the 12.
Let's go to our second wreck replay of the night and find out what happened here.
Okay, it was a little bit of no, this is my spot, and the other one said that they wanted the spot. So we're going to see if that checks out.
It looks like David Duke right on the tail of Damian Leininger. Leininger gets a little bit outside there, and David just hits him a little bit not square. So
that's a really hard part of the track too to drive, and it's weird to say that, but I think that is honestly the hardest part of this whole course is going through that little tri-oval area. It's very bumpy down there on the bottom, so I have to imagine it was a little bit of the tap, and then a little bit of the poor handling there kind of shot him up the track, and not expecting David Duke to be there right there. Just gets turned and kind of collects a few other people there.
Yeah, Joseph DuPont involved there as well. Jake Rowell, our series leader. This is the view from his cockpit.
Oh man, so close.
Just everybody trying to get outside to stay out of the way. It looked like Jacob Smith was involved in that as well.
Decent amount of damage that they should be able to get fixed here. Luckily, the long pace laps at Talladega give them some time to get those fenders fixed. So I have to imagine we're going to see the 9 and the 11 parked here on pit road for quite a while.
Oh yeah, into the wall a few times there for Jacob Smith, another one of our playoff contenders. So, we're going to have some damage. This is going to break things up a little bit, as you can see Jacob Smith in the pits, and he has turned his car off at the pits, which means it is getting repaired right now.
Yeah, it's not what you want by any means, but it could have been a lot worse for these guys. Luckily, this is a track where if they can get it fixed, they can still get up there and get a good finishing position. So you're going to have to get the crew to work and really get the sledgehammers out and just get the metal the best you can and send her on back out there.
Yeah, it looks like all of Rowell Smith Racing had some damage there except for Scott Healy. So Dean Brummett in the pits right now getting some damage repaired. Shane Good, Jake Rowell, Jacob Smith all getting damage repaired right now. Scott Healy went in to get fresh tires and fuel, and so he is back out, and Dean Brummett's going to get out just before our leaders come around, so he's going to stay on the lead lap also.
Yeah, and if this thing goes to a couple green-white checkers, which it very well could here at Talladega, that call to come in and get fuel by Scott Healy could be a race-winning call. So we'll have to pay attention to that as well, see how that unfolds. But not surprising to see all the RSR cars come down right there.
Yeah, just kind of looking at the lap counts and when they last pitted. So the last pit stops were between laps 50 and 55 for everybody up through the top 16. And so if you can go about 28 laps is what we figure here. You could probably stretch that to 30 maybe. So that'd take you to lap 85. So it would take all three green-white checkers in order to be in danger of a fuel race, I believe.
Still, not something you want to try to risk. If you're in contention to win this thing, I'd hate to hear the sound of an empty tank here at Talladega, because that's probably the worst place to have it happen. But like you said, they should be good. Just something to kind of nip in the bud, not have to worry about if you're able to.
Yeah, we are under caution just for the second time this evening. So really a great, clean race so far. Everybody has been extremely respectful, and even on the two wrecks that we have had, it's been a bump that was just in the wrong spot. So nothing bad at all.
No, and I knew these guys could do it. We all know these guys can do it. So we're excited to finally see it come on to the track, and it promotes a great product that we always put on here at Speed Racing Network, and that's just great racing. So we're happy that you guys are enjoying it out there in the YouTube sphere, and if you like it, just go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. We appreciate it very much.
And just to kind of touch base on a couple of these drivers, so Timothy Latham and Danny Setzer, remember, they were hanging back about 10, 11 seconds during that last run, and then Timothy was kind of left out to dry there during a pit cycle. Well, now they are back up with the lead pack, and they're in 15th and 16th position. So that strategy of theirs kept them clean, kept them away from all the damage, and they're back up with the front pack again.
Yeah, I bet you their beats per minute, though, were a little bit higher than the rest on their heart rate. So I have to imagine they were starting to get a little bit nervous that this thing was going to go green the whole way. But luckily the caution gods answered, and they got them caught back up here.
Well, as we're coming around now to turns 3 and 4, we are set to get back going with 5 laps to go. So this is not a green, white checker attempt. This is just kind of one of those really short runs at the end of the race, and we're going to see what everybody's got for them out there, as it looks like everybody is still on the lead lap with the exception of Damian Leininger and Joseph DuPont, who looks like they're both out of the race at this point.
Yeah, they disconnected, so yeah, they are no longer in this race, but we got 23 or so other hungry drivers that are all capable of winning tonight, and they're going to have 5 laps to prove it.
Well, the pace car dips down, and then they start that long trek down the front stretch and just around that little turn there. So this start-finish line a lot further down the track than most start-finish lines, so it's a nice long wait. But then James Holzer will get that restart whenever he likes to. So
he's probably going to be working with that teammate just behind him, Scott Kalal. They're green now, and yeah, he's able to kind of get Scott out in front of that Greg Wellen machine too. So that's going to pay dividends to Holzer right there. As maybe Scott Kalal is that guy he can trust behind him.
Yeah, man, here comes Kalal to get that push, but Greg Wellen's going to push him up to Holzer. And so now I don't think anybody can wait anymore, Greg.
No, if this were me, I would be putting that 94 machine right up there on the high line and seeing who else I can trust to come out and push me. And then if you do that and it doesn't work, it gives you enough time to reset, probably fall back to maybe 7th or 8th, and then try a different process again. But right now, they're all going back to single file.
Which is really interesting to me. I really thought that there would be a high line really building up some speed out there, but maybe they're waiting until 3, maybe 2 to go.
Yeah, that might be a little bit too late. They really need to get up there and start putting the pressure on this 42 machine if they want to have a shot at doing this. That's the only way they're going to do it. Otherwise, I don't think they're going to have enough time to really get the momentum. I see somebody up there with no help, really, and it's quite shocking that no one is going up on that high side.
Well, remember, James Holzer has been runner-up in 3 races this season. He would love to get his first win in the first week of the playoffs here tonight.
That wouldn't be too bad, would it, huh? Wait that long to get that first win, and then it's pretty much a guaranteed ticket into the next round of the playoffs. That's not too bad.
Somebody that we haven't talked about at all tonight, Austin Reedy back there in the 4th position. And so he's just put himself in contention tonight. Remember, he's only led 1 lap all season long. And so he's got a shot here to pull something off that hardly anybody has done, which is lead 1 lap at Talladega, which is the last one.
That's the one that matters, though, Sean. And I'm having a feeling that's what these guys are planning on waiting on, is to kind of hold their position until that last lap. But it's making me nervous just thinking about it. These guys are just all super content on letting this 42 just kind of lead the way. That's very surprising to me.
Yeah, as we're coming around, we're going to get the 2 to go signal. And then we've really got to see some stuff happen here, because otherwise James Holzer is just going to win this thing walking away from it.
Yeah, he's got that teammate behind him who I'd have to imagine is not going to try and pass him. We'll see, though. Scott Kalal is another driver who hasn't won on the season, so he's looking to get his first win here at Speed Racing Network. But yeah, we're down to 2 laps to go, and 1st through 10th are all single file. Well, 1st through 15th, the whole field is single file.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that's kind of popped out back there is, I believe, Danny Setzer.
Ted
Reckich. You're right, Ted Reckich. And so Brandon Key is going to jump out to the outside, and here we go. Jordan Baines going out there with them. There goes Gabriel Ellison on the outside also.
Yeah, Gabriel Ellison has a shot now with the lead into this pack. He's able to get up here past Austin Reedy without Austin jumping up. He's got a shot here.
And let's see how things shuffle out here because, it looks like Reckich is basically 3 wide now. Now we got Austin Reedy popping out to the outside, so he's going to lead the way on the outside. He's got Seth Berger. Seth Berger turns. We are on the final lap. It is white flag, so we are still going here. As we've got James Holzer out front. Nobody's challenging right now, and nobody's out there to help Austin Reedy.
This is Scott Kalal's chance. If he's going to take it, he's going to go right on by his teammate, but he's going to lock in right behind him, and that's going to throw off the rest of these guys.
James Holzer leading this thing. Nobody is really challenging at all right now, and I think Scott Kalal is just content to take second here. He just needs a really good finish to keep himself up in the playoff hunt. But yeah, nobody is going to challenge James Holzer as James Holzer brings it around. And he will, he will win the Talladega Days 200.
That is very surprising to me right there that they did not take it too wide there at the stripe.
A little shocking. But it looks like James Holzer wins the race for Team SRN. Scott Kalal in second for Team SRN. Kyle Spies in third for Filthy 5. Ted Reckich in fourth for Team SRN. And then Gabriel Ellison in fifth with his 12th straight top 10. He is up there in fifth for Filthy 5 Motorsports.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit of a love tap here from Timothy Latham. It's one of the things I like most about that 5 car. He's always one to go and show some support for whoever's out there winning, whether you like him or not. So you got to respect that. But Holzer is going to get that moment he's been waiting on all season. He's been waiting 13 weeks to feel this, and he's been so close so many times. So he's going to get that checker flag and burn it down now.
Yeah, it looks like his entire team is going to be there with him as they start doing the donuts, and Jake Roel comes up and says, hey, I want to play too.
So, 3 Team SRN cars, and that's all they field in the top 4. So, like I said, they are still very much in the team championship standings, and they just made a dent in them tonight here at Talladega.
Yeah, they're just having some fun down there on the course right now. And James Holzer, I know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And now he is the bride here tonight.
Yeah, it's good for him, man. You love seeing new winners, new first-time winners here at Speed Racing Network, and he has deserved it more than any of them because, like I said, he puts it out there on the field every week and just has something happen, whether it's a pit strategy or, it just doesn't happen to have it at the end of the race. He gets moved out of the way at Martinsville by a faster Scott Healy. Not today, though. He led the field in a dominating fashion. So much so that they didn't even want to try to pass him, it seemed like, at the end. But, yeah, he gets it done here tonight.
Well, let's take a look. And we said at the beginning of the broadcast, the cream kind of rises to the top. The top 6 drivers and 8 of the top 10 are in that first tier of the playoffs. And so James Holzer takes the win for Team SRN. Scott Kalal for Team SRN in second. Kyle Spies for Filthy 5 Motorsports in third. Ted Reckich for Team SRN in fourth. And Gabriel Ellison from Filthy 5 Motorsports, like we said, with his 12th straight top 10, takes it home in 5th place.
Yeah, Austin Reedy, first Bronco Motorsports car on the grid here, is going to come home in 6th place. Jordan Bain for Rev Racing is going to be in 7th. Timothy Latham, who had that little bit of a different strategy going, ended up to work his way back up to 8th. 9th place is going to be Scott Healy for Royal Smith Racing, and 10th place will be David Duke for Flavor Bomb.
Yeah, Royal Smith Racing's Dean Brummett, they're in 11th. Max Service from Tank Racing in 12th. Danny Setzer from Team SRN in 13th. Seth Berger, who led a ton of this race, is up in 14th position for Tank Racing. Had some trouble there on the last couple laps. Jake Roel for Royal Smith Racing in 15th.
And Shane Good also coming out of Royal Smith Racing, going to be 16th. Jacob Smith, 17th. Chris Massey is going to come home 18th. David Fuji Jr. is 19th. And Joshua Balliet in 20th.
Well, let's see if we can talk to our third-place driver, Mr. Kyle Spees, who has really had a fantastic season already, but now just bringing it home in third here in the playoffs, an even better start for him. Kyle, hey, this is Sean and Greg up in the booth, man. How's it going?
It's going good. I appreciate it.
Man, a great race for you tonight. I know you've got some fans out there that are watching on YouTube and everything, and we've been watching also. We know that you're kind of one of those hard chargers where you started off tonight in 20th. Tell me what it was like to move your way up through third.
It was a blast tonight, doing the long running that we did, single file for a while. It does kind of lag on you a little bit, but for the most part, it was a lot of fun. We knew, like Talladega always is, the last 10 laps or so always going to be the most dramatic, so we were ready for that. Just trying to make sure the car was capable of staying and driving to full potential at the end was key, and luckily we did that. Worked great as a team, worked with Ellison and Tim really well tonight, and I think we did really well all together.
All right, Kyle. Well, moving on to next week, we're going to be at Kansas Motor Speedway. You had a great start to your playoffs here. How's that looking for next week when we go to a 1.5 mile speedway out there in Kansas?
Coming in to Kansas, not too great there, but like I do every week, and tell you guys I'm going to put in as much practice as I can this week. Hopefully with the practice I get in, it just benefits me and I run good. Like always, just try to go in there, finish a race, not trying to win every race. I think helps me as much as it helps anyone else. So I'll go in with the same attitude, and hopefully we get another top 10 next week.
Well, man, we love having you up here in the booth. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank here this evening?
Absolutely. First off, 55 Motorsports. Appreciate being on the team with everyone. And then shout out to my mom, grandma watching tonight. Appreciate you watching. Always a blast. And then always to you guys. Appreciate you spending your nights, especially Sunday nights, doing the broadcast, spending it with us.
Well, man, we appreciate you, and definitely hope to see you next week at Kansas, and hope to see you continue to climb up that leaderboard.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, have a great night, buddy. All right, let's move on to Team SRN, and it's almost to the point where we just need to drop down into the SRN booth and just do the interview with all of them, truthfully. But let's see if we can't get Scott Kalal up here. And again, Scott's one of those drivers that was kind of towards the bottom of the list in the playoffs, and now he can work his way up really well with a second-place finish. Scott Kalal, Sean, and Greg up in the booth, man. How's it going?
Pretty good, guys.
Man, what a finish for you here tonight. And I know you were right there on the tail of your teammate. Were you content for second place just to kind of get these points and not really get yourself in trouble?
Absolutely. James, he deserved to win. It's been a hard time for him to get a win, and we finally brought it here, the two of us. It's been tough for us to even get a top 10, so we saved it for the right time, and that pit stop worked out in our favor. We got on and off pit road quickly and kept it together, and everything went great.
Yeah, you mentioned tough to get a top 10. You only have one top 10 on the season, all season long, and you come out of here in the first playoff race with a second-place runner-up. What's that going to do for you next week going into Kansas and further on in the playoffs?
Well, it's going to give us more confidence. I mean, I came in here kind of knowing I was playing with house money. There's some talented guys in this league being the last spot. I knew Talladega was kind of my chance to get up there and get a good finish, and now we can just go out and get some consistent finishes, hopefully a couple more top 10s here, and hopefully that does it.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, is there anybody that you'd like to thank before we let you get back to it tonight?
Yeah, I just want to thank my friends and family for watching, and you guys for putting on a great show. You guys do a good job.
Thanks,
and
buddy.
Obviously my teammates, we all ran a good race tonight. Everybody did their job, and we got the result we were looking for.
Man, it's awesome to see Team SRN, the factory team, the home team up there in the top two positions. Congratulations tonight, and we'll see you next week at Kansas.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, well, let's grab his teammate and pull him up here. So, Mr. James Holzer, I know, man, we've talked to you a lot this past few weeks here, and you've always kind of been in second place there. How's it feel to get the monkey off your back tonight?
Oh boy, there's gonna be some celebration tonight. This is awesome.
Well, man, tell me about the entire last part of that race. We really didn't see anybody challenge you on the outside, and we kept waiting and waiting and waiting. Is that the same thing that was going through your head as well?
Yeah, I was waiting and waiting and waiting. But we had teammates up front. I knew Scott was with me, and Scott was with me through the end. And you had to have a lot of numbers to make anything work on the high side, and you had to really stick together and not overshove. And just a lot of practice had to go in to make something work on the outside. So I was comfortable on the bottom, and we left a gap so that way we could close that gap if the run did come, and it ended up working out. But the most important part of that last run was the green flag pit stops, where Greg came in and beat us off pit road, and I told Scott, I said, "Hey, we got to get by him now. It's going to matter because this is going to be the race for the win between us. And if we get that spot, we need one of us to get it." So I backed up a run and I wasn't able to pull him around with me, but he ended up getting second. But getting past Greg at the green flag pit stop was huge, and that was what ended up winning me the race.
Yeah, well, tell us how getting this monkey off your back and finally getting that first win of the season, how that's going to help you in these final 6 races, especially moving on next week to Kansas.
Huge momentum because we've had a couple of bad weeks. We started off the season pretty steady with some good top 5s and top 10 finishes, and we didn't finish outside the top 10 for a good part of the beginning of the season, and it was just a little bit of frustration, things just not going our way, and practiced all week for Talladega and was doing officials and no luck at all. Didn't win any official races, got wrecked out of pretty much all of them, almost lost my A license, and but learned a lot doing so and ended up paying off. And Team SRN, as a team, we really haven't done the best. We've been okay, but we haven't done fantastic. We got 1, 2, 4 tonight, so it was huge for all of us in the practice with all of us, especially in this practice session before the race paid off, and it was awesome to see all that come together.
Well, man, is there anybody you'd like to thank tonight before we let you get back to the big celebration? And by the way, really quick before you do that, everyone out in the chat is saying that was the best burnout they've seen all season.
Oh, no doubt. I try not to lack in that department. Yeah, really like to burn it down when it happens. There was a lot of emotion and excitement with that. Because you know how the last laps of the Superspeedways go. Because I don't think I breathed through the last 3 laps. But want to thank you, Sean and Greg, up in the booth, always doing a fantastic job. Want to thank JP Designs, bringing them on. We're going to call them the good luck charm. One for one, the JP Designs on the car, and Extreme Sim Racing. Want to thank them and Dirty Podcast Racing as well. And going to look to carry this momentum forward to Kansas, and it's a really good mile and a half for us too. So let's keep this ball rolling.
Sounds good, buddy. Well, we'll see you next week at Kansas, and keep this thing going.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Greg.
All right, Greg. So, man, what a great race here tonight, and kind of almost anticlimactic there at the end, but still a phenomenal race all the way around with just a few cautions there. But let's talk about our next race, which is actually our next Cup Series race, which is right at Kansas there. So we're going to have the Bushy McBushy Light 200, named after the actual NASCAR race that's going on that was voted on by the fans.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to go from a restrictor place back to a kind of, average mile and a half technical track. It's really going to bring the skill out in these guys and start to separate the field, see who's going to move on into the second round of the playoffs, as that's race number 2 of 3 in this first round. So, if you had a bad week at Talladega tonight, you're going to be really looking to make up some points next week.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, even before that race, so Saturday, May the 1st, we have our All-Star Draft. And so this was the last chance for these guys that are here in the playoffs, or that are here in the Cup Series, to make their case to be on a drafted team for the All-Star race. But the very next race we are broadcasting is at Kansas as well, but it's the Truck Series. So playoff round of 15, week number 2, Wednesday, April 28th at 9:30 p.m. Central. And man, we've got a lot of good drivers down there in the Truck Series that are still battling it out.
Yeah, excited to see that my former co-commentator Byron McDonald won this past week at Daytona or at Talladega. I was super excited to see that and got to be a little bit part of that celebration in the Rev Racing Discord. But yeah, the Trucks is up for grabs for anybody. All 15 drivers in that playoff series can easily win it, and yeah, we're going to just see who makes a name for themselves here at Kansas Motor Speedway coming up here on April 28th to see who's going to potentially make another bid for that money.
Well, definitely come back and watch that with us at Kansas next week, and also beware that All-Star Race draft is next Saturday once again. So a lot of fun stuff happening this next week with Speed Racing Network. But for right now, for myself, Sean Griffith, and for Greg Olenek and everybody here at Speed Racing Network, we all just want to remind you to go faster.